So here we go. The latest on Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk is one of these things now where it seems that every single day there's a new roadblock to the fight. There's a new stumbling block. There's a new demand by Tyson Fury. So, as many of you will know, the latest one has been that it's 70-30. You can't make me an offer, Usyk. I'm the A side, blah, blah, blah. 70-30, take it or leave it. And Alexander Usyk, he called his bluff, he took it, and he said, now you donate to the Ukraine. Donate £1 million of your purse to the Ukraine. Excuse me. And whereas Tyson Fury said, every day you delay in signing, you lose 1%, Usyk sort of reversed it and said, well, every day that you delay, I get 1%. So he kind of countered Fury, said, I accept it. You give money to the Ukraine, £1 million. And every day you delay, you give me 1% more. So that was where we stood, sort of thing. And not to be outdone, Tyson Fury comes out of another video and says, how about this? Our lawyers have been talking, and Usyk's lawyers have been talking about a rematch clause. And how about this? We get rid of the rematch clause completely, and the loser goes away with his bleep in his hand, whatever. So that's the latest thing from Tyson Fury. So the latest stumbling block is, right, there's going to be no rematch clause. You know, you take that or you leave it. The winner is going to take everything right off into the sunset. The loser gets nothing, blah, blah, blah. So, and it's funny because the way Tyson Fury comes across is as if to say it's Alexander Usyk's team that is asking for this rematch clause. It's as if it's all sort of on them, and it's them that's making that demand. And now, to be totally honest with you, in this sort of fight, I don't mind the rematch clause so much, because at the end of the day, it's for all the belts. And let's say you get robbed, you know, Usyk comes out on the wrong end of a decision, or there's some controversy there's cuts or whatever. I can understand them sort of having that cushion there where, you know, where you can sort of run it back and get your, you know, get your belts back. I get it. But when I listen to the interview on Talksport with Frank Warren, because Talksport, and you know, Frank Warren, to his credit, he's been going on there regularly. He's been answering some of the tough questions. He's been avoiding things and whatnot, but at the end of the day, at least he's been there. He's been visible. He's been answering questions, and you know, Krasuk as well on behalf of Usyk. But when Frank Warren went on Talksport, he admitted that you know, he started off by saying that, yeah, he's just a fighting man, and what he's trying to do is just saying, look, let's forget these obstacles, let's just go all in and fight, and you know, let's not do this rematch clause thing, because he's just a pure fighting man. But then a little bit later in the interview, he volunteered this information. He voluntarily he said, look, I admit that, if I'm being honest, we were the ones that proposed the rematch clause in the beginning. It was our side. So he admitted, and he said that actually Usyk is correct in what he's saying, because Usyk, as we know, came out, and after Fury talked about rematch clause, Usyk came out and said, rematch clause come from your team, not from mine. Stop playing games, stop ducking and whining, and you know. And Frank Warren come out and admitted it. He said, look, that did come from our side. We are the ones who actually proposed the rematch clause in the beginning, but now Tyson Fury's woken up this morning and decided, well, now I don't want the rematch clause. Now he seems to be changing his mind. So again, it's more sort of contradictory talk coming from Tyson Fury, who is brilliant in the ring, very, very good, as generational talent. But when it comes to talking, he does contradict himself quite a lot. I mean, he always seems to be sort of moving the goalposts. When you think about this fight, initially when him and his dad were talking about this and this fight being proposed after Chisora and that, they were initially talking about a 50-50 split with Usyk, that, yeah, they're fair men, they're fighting men, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's 50-50. But now he's come up with 70-30. You know, 1 minute he says he'll fight Anthony Joshua for free. He was saying that last year. I'll fight AJ for free on free TV in the UK. We'll give away free tickets in Wembley Stadium. We'll have 90,000 people in there for free. Blah blah blah. And that was his stance. But then when he was retired, so-called retired, and asked about Alexander Usyk, he said, "Yeah, I'll come back and fight Usyk for $500 million. Give me $500 million. Give me £500 million, and I'll fight him." And then the next minute he's talking about, well, I don't really need the money, blah blah blah. And then after he says he don't need the money and he's got enough money and it's not about money, it's about the people. Then when the Saudis make the offer to him to fight Usyk in Saudi Arabia, Usyk was very happy with the offer he got. But for Tyson Fury and his side, they said, "Oh, no, 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 no. What the Saudis are offering us is not enough money, so we're going to come to Wembley." And the weird thing about that is, I don't believe, I could be wrong on this, but I don't believe he's going to make more money in fighting over here in the UK than he would with the Saudis, because with the Saudis, they're going to give you, you know, a big flat rate that is probably going to surpass what he's going to get. So I think what he's going to be guaranteed to get here in the UK, whatever's in that pot of Frank Warren, is going to be far less than what he would have got in Saudi. So I think that was a bit of a, if it is about the money, then that was kind of a foolish move. But he kind of contradicts himself quite a lot, because, you know, in Saudi, that's where you're going to make the most money. Over here in England, you can make big money from the pay-per-view, but there's no way you're going to be guaranteed the same sort of money that you would get if you just took that fee, whatever the agreement was, in Saudi Arabia. And then in the next breath, he's recently said, "Well, I let the businessmen handle the business. I'm not involved in the business. I'm happy to just sign a deal straight away, make an agreement with another fighter, and we'll just fight. That's the type of guy I am. I'm not involved in the business side." But then now recently, he's coming up with these videos saying to Usyk, "Well, who are you to make a deal with me? I'll tell you what the deal is. It's like this, 70-30, take it or leave it." So he's always sort of contradicting himself, is Tyson Fury. And, you know, even when it comes to this thing about the rematch clause and etc., when you really look on it, you know, he's the same guy that had 3 fights with Deontay Wilder. Okay, one of them, I'd say probably the maybe the second or third one, he had no choice. But, you know, he's had 3 fights with Wilder. He goes on and he takes Chisora on for a third time. That was a trilogy, and that was a silly trilogy, because at the end of the day, there was not, Chisora lost both of the previous 2 fights. So it wasn't even as competitive as the Wilder fight, where Wilder nearly knocked him out in the first fight, but Fury, you know, danced around him and sort of done enough to win it on points. And then the second fight, he knocked him out. So, you know, at least Wilder had some sort of chance. With Chisora, Fury made mincemeat, destroyed Chisora, you know, beat him twice. So, you know, he's the same guy who was happy to, although he beat the man convincingly twice, he's happy to then have a third fight. But now all of a sudden with Usyk, although his team proposed it, now he's got a problem with rematches and rematch clauses. To me, that makes no sense. If you can sort of con the public and then have a third fight with a man that you've beaten convincingly twice, you know, what's the problem with having a rematch clause here? Because that rematch clause might even benefit you. You might be the man who loses and is able to make the adjustments. He proved that against Wilder. So that's kind of a contradiction there, where you're taking on a easy fight for the third time that no one wants to see, but then you've got a problem now with rematch clauses. And I find it interesting how, you know, in the media, these guys like Talk Sports, Simon Jordan, they ask the tough questions, but they seem to only really ask the tough questions of certain people. They're very hard on AJ and Eddie Hearn. And to be fair, yeah, fair enough, Eddie Hearn hasn't come up there, but they're very hard on those sort of guys. But then when it comes to Tyson Fury, they seem to sort of make exceptions. And when you look at it, Usyk is the one who's making all these concessions. He's the one who's agreeing to all these demands from Tyson Fury, and all of this moving of the goalpost, the rematch clause, the split. Usyk is the one here making all the concessions, but where is the outcry from the media for Tyson Fury to make these concessions? Why doesn't he have to make some concessions and he have to give some wiggle room here, or he have to do something that Alexander Usyk wants? Why is it all him? It's all one-way traffic, him making the demands and him getting what he wants. Because I guarantee you something, and I'm not a fanboy of no fighter, but I can guarantee you something. I think this would be a very different story if this sort of stuff was out there about, let's say, an Anthony Joshua making these sorts of demands on a split, and you can't have a rematch, blah blah blah. If that sort of stuff was there with AJ, there would be an absolute uproar. But it seems with Tyson Fury, he kind of gets a pass with all of this. And another thing is that Usyk's manager, Krasuk, he believes that this is not the last of his demands. He believes that Tyson Fury, even with Usyk agreeing to this rematch clause thing, he believes there will be more demands from Tyson Fury because he doesn't want to fight. And to be honest with you, at this point, I hope that's not the case, but I wouldn't be overly surprised if Tyson Fury made yet another demand, even after this rematch clause. And, Simon Jordan, I suppose, to his credit, he came out and said, look, if Tyson makes another demand, then we in the media would call him a coward. I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, if he does start making more demands, even these demands he's making now, to me, seem to suggest that he doesn't really want this fight. He's not. I don't think he's afraid of Alexander Usyk per se, but he doesn't seem to really want this fight, because I think a man that really wants to fight will just do it. They'll just sign. You won't have all these extra demands all the time. And but hey, I hope Usyk's management is wrong about this, that Tyson Fury making more demands, but I would not be surprised. And lastly, another thing about this fight is that Bruce Trempler, he put out a tweet which was about, I think it was yesterday or the day before, which stated that both Usyk and Tyson Fury are both fighting men, and he congratulates them for coming to terms to fight in June. Now, that tweet was deleted almost immediately after it was put up. But in a sense, although we don't know anything for certain, it wouldn't surprise me if this fight was pushed back to around that time, because it's only about now, 6 weeks away from when this fight is going to be. So if it being pushed back to June would make sense, because that would allow them to do a tour, press conferences, and to do proper promotion for the fight. Whereas now they're cutting it very fine if it's to be on April 29th. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. Latest news, latest roadblocks coming from Tyson Fury. What do you think about this? What do you think will be the outcome of the fight? Do you think Tyson Fury really wants this fight? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out.